You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
Welcome to the Hot Options Report, your premier source for insight into the fast-moving options market. Each day, we'll track down the products that are dominating the options chains and impacting your trading account, from NVIDIA to VIX and everything in between. If it's lighting up the options tape, then you'll find it on the Hot Options Report.
All right, everybody, that music means we are back. It is time once again for your Hot Options Report, coming at you on Thursday, July 30th. My name, of course, Mark Longo from the Options Insider Radio Network, your home for all your favorite options podcasts. And of course, while you're checking things out online, make sure you check out our friends over there at Quick Options. QUIK Options is the name, or just go to thehotoptionsreport.com. Either way gets you to the best data in the biz. We're going to dive into the Lucky 7 scan today. You feeling lucky, listeners? Let's find out. There are 134 symbols lighting up this scan today. What is this scan? It's pretty straightforward. It's any stock or ETF where today's options volume is 7 times greater than yesterday's volume. And you know what? Yesterday was a banger, so that's some serious volume. Again, 134 names lighting up this scan. I'll pick 3 at random. Let's go out to Algoma Steel Group, ticker symbol ASTL. And we've also got some action in Birkenstock Holdings. I haven't talked about them in forever. Ticker symbol BIRK, BIRK. And down towards the lower portion of the list, we're going out to Plains All American Pipeline, ticker symbol PAA, PAA. Check out those 3 are all 134 names in that scan, or all the hundreds of other scans you can check out for yourselves at thehotoptionsreport.com. And now it's time for us to dive on into the options market today. Was it a banger day in the world of options? The answer was it's pretty much about exactly what it's been for most of the last few weeks. A little bit north of 500,000 contracts. In this case, 569,000 contracts. That's all it cost you to break into the top 10. That gets you to our old pal IREN. IREN having a good day today, like a lot of the market, rallying almost $9 or about 30% to close $38.26. The hot option in IREN today, 34,000 of the 34 puts, a lot of 34s. These are expiring tomorrow, listeners. Average price for these about 37 cents. Looks like a lot of mid-market trading, so let's hope for their sake they sold the heck out of these, but we'll keep an eye on these tomorrow. All right, coming in at number 9, we're going back to SpaceX, listeners. Was it a good day in SpaceX? The answer was no, but they only gave up 35 cents in the annals of SpaceX sell-offs, 35 cents. Nothing really to write home about, listeners. SpaceX closing today 112.20 and putting up 706,000 contracts for the number 9 spot on our countdown today, the hot option in SpaceX. You know, there's that risk management trade. It's still lurking out there. The AUG 330s expiring next week, but forget about those. We're going to go to number 2, listeners. 16, almost 17,000 of the 120s. These are the 120 calls expiring tomorrow. These are not looking great, but they were looking better earlier today. Intraday high was nearly 119, so these were within spitting distance until they weren't. Average price for these $1.82. Let's hope for their sakes they were overriding these, because right now, if you bought them, those are not looking great. Was Intel looking great today? The answer was yes. They rallied $9.25 to close $91.13, and they put up a little over 750,000 contracts. For the number 8 spot on our countdown today, the hot option in Intel land, nearly 36,000 of the 95s. These are expiring tomorrow. Average price for these, $1.25. Once again, you might say that's a bit of a bridge too far, 95 by tomorrow, but the intraday high was $94.10. So they were also within spitting distance until they weren't. So we'll keep an eye on these. Right now, it looks like $1.24 offered up to the market gods, but there's one more day. Anything could happen in Intel, listeners. And anything did happen in Meta last night after their earnings, and most of it was bad, listeners. The stock took a shellacking today, selling off $46.58, or nearly 8%, to close $539, pretty much exactly, putting up 1.04 million contracts for the number 7 spot in our countdown today. The hot option, nearly 18,000 of the par puts, not the 600s that we've been talking about forever, that 600 strike. Nope, the 500 puts. That shows you how far the mighty have fallen, listeners. Average price for these was 48 cents. They were not giving these away. And you know what? They were looking like they might be relevant earlier in the session. The stock opened at 526 and sold off as low as 524.49. So the 500 strike was looking a lot more relevant earlier in the session than it did at the close. But we'll keep an eye on Meta. Can they threaten the par strike by tomorrow? We'll find out on tomorrow's episode, listeners. As we keep climbing to number 6, was it a good day in Micron? You know it was. We were just talking about threatening the 700 strike in the wrong direction on the show yesterday, listeners. Forget all that. The stock rallying $135.66 today to close $874.66. Again, I want to talk to you folks who are out there slinging Micron options on a regular basis. This is one of the wildest names I've seen in some time, certainly consistently. We've seen a lot of names have wild days here or there around earnings or whatnot, but Micron brings it almost every day these days. It's a wild one. If you're bored, just trade some Micron. You won't be bored anymore. 1.07 million contracts for the number 6 spot today. The hot option in Micron. We're going to the par strike, the 900 strike this time. A lot of pars in Micron. That's what happens when you swing 100 plus handles at a clip. It's the 900s expiring tomorrow, changing hands nearly 40,000 times today. Average price nearly $9, $8.86. So if you're paying that, you better hope Micron gets out of bed tomorrow. The intraday high was 882, so they were looking a little bit better earlier in the session. Still, a day is an eternity in Micron. As we've seen, it could easily be 100 handles different tomorrow than where it is today. So these could be great winners or they could be huge losers. We will find out on tomorrow's show. Speaking of finding things out, listeners, I think we're going to find out a little bit about Apple on the show today. Apple selling off $4.76 today to close $333.43, putting up 1.08 million contracts for the number 5 spot today. Why are we going to find out more about Apple today, listeners? Well, because they have earnings popping off as we speak. Before we look at that, let's find out what was the hot option in Apple land today. And it was 36,000 of the 320 puts. These are expiring tomorrow. Average price for these right around $1.65. And again, we closed $333.43, so these are not looking great. The intraday low is $329.59, so they were looking a little bit better earlier in the session. There was a lot of back and forth and mid-market paper on these, so a lot of buying and selling activity, obviously. Would you rather be buying or selling them for $1.65, listeners? Maybe when I tell you what's going on after the bell, maybe that'll change your opinion. Right now in the after hours, listeners, looks like the first blush for Apple is not looking good, so you might want to be a buyer of these puts. The stock selling off $8.32, or about 2.5%, trading $3.25 right now, so about $5 away from that strike. Interesting, we haven't seen Apple turn to the red in quite some time, so it'll be interesting to see how all this plays out. Again, it's a wild week for earnings. We'll keep an eye on Apple. Right now, these puts are looking like they might be decent, but again, fade the first move in the after hours. That's usually the right way to go in a lot of these names. All right, out to Amazon we go, and they're another one we're probably going to find out some more about after the bell today. Amazon had a good day today, rallying $8.85 to close $235.5, and they put up 1.37 million contracts for the number 4 spot in our countdown today. The hot option, 50,000 of the 2 halves. Interesting. Some folks maybe reaching for the stars here on earnings. These went up for an average price of about $3.70, listeners. Again, a lot of mid-market back and forth flow. Would you be a buyer or a seller for $3.70, listeners? Let's go find out. In the after hours right now, well, you know what? That 250 strike already in the rearview mirror. Looks like the Amazon number looking pretty good. They're up $16.83, or a little over 7%, trading 252 and a third right now in the after hours. So those calls, $2.33 in the money. Congrats to all of you who paid $3.70. You just got to hope Amazon obviously opens up here or above tomorrow, listeners. Otherwise, not going to pay off that $3.70. But a wild after hours so far in Apple and Amazon. We'll keep an eye on these for tomorrow's show as we keep climbing up to number 3. Was Tesla climbing today? The answer was yes, back above that 300 strike that they broke in the wrong direction yesterday, closing 308.85 today, up $10.53 and putting up 1.72 million contracts for the number 3 spot in our countdown today. The hot option, 112,000 of the 310s. Average price for these about $2.80. And these were in the money at one point. Intraday high 310.87. So these were looking decent. Looks like paper might have been overriding these, though, in which case they're fading a little bit of the near-term upside. And so far, that's looking okay. We'll see how these play out tomorrow. Speaking of seeing things play out, we all saw how Microsoft played out yesterday. Yesterday, we were talking about the 450, the 4.5 calls with the stock well below $400. And the 4.5 calls were trading actively for around 87 cents, listeners. It seemed like a wild trade at the time. That was a heck of a lot of money to pay for an over 10% move in the stock to make those things pay off, listeners. And you know what? Microsoft did it. They got there. They closed 451.10 today, listeners, up $60.56, or about 15.5%. Absolutely knocking the cover off the ball last night. So wild stuff for Microsoft. Of course, those were the 4.5s expiring tomorrow. So right now they're $1.10 in the money. Obviously a nice trade for them. Hopefully you got out of those a little bit earlier in the session. I think they were looking a lot better then than $1.10 in the money now. But hey, they're still in the money. So you can't get too mad. A heck of a trade if you bought those. And even if you sold them, as long as you had some stock in your back pocket against them, you're still a pretty happy camper right now. So wild stuff here in Microsoft. And we haven't even looked at today's volume. Microsoft putting up 1.95 million contracts. For the number 2 spot today, the hot option, 81,000 of the 480s. Wow, that's a wild strike. These are expiring on regular August monthly expiration. So not this week, not next week, but a few weeks down the road. Average price for these, nearly $5, $4.86. Was an opening trade, so some folks look like they're lifting some offers out there on the 480s. What do you think, listeners? 480 by August expiration? Can we get there? Do we have another 60 handle move in us in Microsoft over the next few weeks? Wild stuff here in Microsoft. We'll keep an eye on these 480s too, see how they play out. But now it's time to climb to the king of the list once again. Yes, it's NVIDIA, rallying $5.03 to close 195.04 today, putting up 2.88 million contracts to take the number 1 spot today. The hot option, 222,000 of the pars, the 200s. These are expiring tomorrow. Average price for these, 66 cents. Intraday high was 197.25, so these were looking a little bit better earlier in the session than they are now. But we'll see. Can NVIDIA get above the par strike by tomorrow's close? Tune into the show tomorrow to find out. Make sure to check out our friends over there at thehotoptionsreport.com if you want to crunch any of this data for yourselves. And we'll see you back here tomorrow after the closing bell to wrap up your trading week. Another episode of the Hot Options Report. Stay safe out there, everybody.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.